I didn't restore the Rolls Royce to show off. I restored it because it was falling apart, forgotten, and honestly, it reminded me of myself during a rough stretch of life. 2 years of quiet work, missed weekends, money I probably shouldn't have spent, but there was something grounding about bringing something broken back the right way slowly, patiently, without shortcuts. So when I finally drove it home, the leather still smelling new and the engine running smoother than it had in decades, I thought the hard part was over. I was wrong. That afternoon, the HOA, in both name and energy, stood at the end of my driveway staring at the car like it offended her personally. She didn't ask about it. She didn't compliment the work. She pointed at it and said, "You can't keep that here." At first I thought she meant parking rules, maybe noise, maybe timing, so I listened. That's when she said something that caught me off guard. She told me the car didn't actually belong to me anymore. Not because I violated a rule, not because I parked wrong, but because, according to her, vehicle that valuable should fall under HOA control for community interests. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just asked her to explain. She couldn't. She just kept repeating that the HOA would sort it out and that I shouldn't drive it again until they did. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about power. I had bought the Rolls Royce as a rusted shell at an estate auction. No shortcuts, no favors. I had every document from day one: bill of sale, VIN verification, restoration, invoices, insurance, title history. Every step recorded because I knew that restoring something old attracts attention, and attention attracts problems. Sure enough, a week later, I received a formal HOA notice. They claimed the car violated community standards. Then they suggested it might be commercial property. Then, incredibly, they hinted it could be community promise property. Still no proof, with just confidence. They scheduled an HOA meeting to review ownership, so I went. Karen arrived prepared with photos of my driveway, highlighted bylaws, and that same confident smile. She spoke for a long time about fairness, appearance, and shared community value. When she finished, I stood up. I didn't make a speech. I placed a folder on the table, then another, then another. Inside were 2 years of paperwork, receipts, legal records, the title, insurance, restoration contracts, a certified letter from my attorney explaining, in very simple language, what happens when someone attempts to seize privately owned property. The room got quiet. Karen flipped pages faster and faster until she reached the last one. That's when her expression changed, because that page didn't talk about community rules, it talked about personal liability. The board thanked me for my time. The meeting ended early. A few days later I received a letter from the HOA, not a warning, not a demand, an apology. Karen stepped down shortly after. Apparently, trying to take someone's legally owned property wasn't the hill the rest of the board wanted to die on. The Rolls Royce still sits in my driveway, not as a trophy but as a reminder. You don't win conflicts like this by being louder. You win by being prepared, because when someone tries to take what you've earned, paperwork speaks louder than entitlement ever could.